You think you know the Vikings. You imagine noise, chaos, and battle. But their deepest secrets weren't found in a raid. They were found in the quiet moments. What if the key to their power wasn't a sword, but the slow, hypnotic rhythm of a craftsman's tool? What if their strength came from the profound silence of a healer's hut? Tonight, we invite you into 10 unique atmospheres of the ancient North. 1,000 words of pure calm, designed to quiet your mind and guide you into the deepest rest. Close your eyes and let the Viking silence begin. Hi guys, welcome to HistSleep, the Fjord's embrace, cradle of the Norse people. If you listen closely, you can still hear the quiet hum of the ancient North, a sound that has survived 1,000 winters. It is a sound not of men or battle, but of the very stones and water of Scandinavia, a gentle, cradling whisper designed to carry you into a deep and restful sleep. We begin here, in the heart of what would one day be known as the Viking world, but on a night long before the great voyages truly began. We are nestled deep within a fjord, a long, winding inlet carved by glaciers, massive, slow, silent forces that shape this world into a dramatic masterpiece. The water of the fjord is the color of polished slate tonight, perfectly still, reflecting the heavens above like a mirror of deep, liquid obsidian. The surface is barely disturbed, only the faintest, softest ripple where a distant seabird might have dipped its wing, or a small, shy fish may have broken the surface. Imagine this scene for a moment, letting the coolness of the water and the stillness of the air wash over you. Towering above the water are the mountainsides. They rise steeply, dark shapes against a sky that is never truly black in the deep summer, but a perpetual, soft twilight of indigo and charcoal. These slopes are covered in a dense, primeval forest of pine and birch. The trees stand motionless, their scent, the sharp, clean aroma of pine needles and cold stone, is carried on the lightest, most gentle breeze. It is this breeze that first finds its way to the small settlement resting at the sheltered inner curve of the fjord. This is not a town, but a collection of longhouses, built with solid walls of timber and turf roofs, tucked against the base of the mountain for shelter. They look as though they have grown naturally from the land, humble and strong. Focus now on one of these dwellings, a great longhouse belonging to the family of Bjorn. The only light visible is a mellow, flickering orange that glows through the small, high smoke vent in the center of the roof. The air outside is cool, crisp, and intensely quiet. The world has settled in for its long, slow rest. Step inside, not with your feet, but with your imagination. The interior of the longhouse is dark, but warmly lit by the hearth. This is the heart of the home, a long, shallow trench of stones running down the center of the earthen floor. Tonight, the fire is no longer a roaring beast, but a collection of glowing, banked embers, a slow, patient fire that will last until the morning. The flames dance sleepily, casting long, wavering shadows on the tall, curved timber roof beams, making the ceiling seem vast and safe, like the ribs of an ancient ship turned upside down. The air inside is thick with the comforting, heavy scent of wood smoke, slowly drifting upwards, along with the lingering aromas of the evening's meal, baked bread, roasted meat, and the earthy, slightly sour smell of dried herbs hanging from the rafters. It is a dense, warm, and secure atmosphere. Along both sides of the hearth are the sleeping platforms, raised beds of wood and straw covered in thick, woven blankets and animal hides. Everyone sleeps here together, children, parents, and grandparents, all resting side by side, sharing the communal warmth. Listen to the sounds of the longhouse, the true whispers of the North. There is the constant, subtle crackle and hiss of the slow fire, the embers settling in on themselves. There is the deep, steady snore of the family patriarch Bjorn, a rhythmic grounding sound. There is the soft, almost inaudible rustle of a child shifting beneath a heavy sheepskin blanket, finding that perfect, comfortable spot. Outside, the wind occasionally sighs against the thick turf roof, a distant, gentle sound that only makes the air inside feel cozier and safer. The most soothing sound of all is the rhythmic drip, drip, drip of condensation gathering on the inside of the roof, occasionally falling onto the stones of the hearth with a soft, quick psst, a natural metronome counting out the slow passage of the deep, safe night. In this moment, the Viking world is not one of raids and adventure, but of profound stillness. These people are rooted to their land. They are safe within the embrace of the fjord, sheltered by the mighty, silent mountains. The darkness outside holds no fear, only the promise of renewal. Let the warm, smoky air settle around you. Feel the deep, encompassing peace of the longhouse. Feel the steady, slow breathing of the many people around the hearth, all trusting in the warmth and the shelter. This collective breathing is a gentle anchor, a reminder of safety and continuity. The shadows on the wall grow stiller and longer. The embers sink deeper into themselves, a rich, dark orange glow that is fading, but not gone. The sounds of the longhouse are slowing down, drawing out, becoming soft. Deep tones that resonate only with rest. You are at the cradle of the Norse people, a place where time moves like the slow growth of a mountain pine. Let the fjord's embrace hold you now. Allow the warmth of the fading fire and the deep, heavy silence of the north to settle into your own body. You are safe. You are sheltered. The world is at rest. Sink deeper now, carried by the deep, gentle hum of the fjord, the steady breath of the ancient world. Sleep. The rhythm of the Longship. A dream on the waves. Close your eyes and imagine that you are lying down on the deck of a Viking longship. Not in the rush of battle, but in the deep, quiet cradle of the sea, under a sky vast and heavy with stars. Tonight, our journey is one of peace, following the ancient rhythm of wood, water, and breath. This ship, a dreki, a dragon ship, is a masterpiece of balance and grace. Its hull is made of overlapping oak planks, thin and flexible, designed to dance with the waves, not fight them. You are resting near the center mast, the heart of the vessel, where the movement is the most stable and soothing. Above you, the great linen sail, once full, has been carefully furled and secured. The wind has softened, retreating into a gentle, consistent whisper from the northwest. The sail now hangs still, its heavy canvas silent, absorbing the subtle dampness of the night air. The true rhythm of this journey is generated by the oars, as the crew keeps the vessel moving steadily and slowly towards a distant, unknown shore. There are 20 men seated along the benches, but their effort is synchronized. A unified motion that requires no shouted commands, only instinct and deep familiarity with the sea. Listen now for the sounds of the ship. The first sound is the most essential, the creak of the oarlocks. It is a deep, low, organic sound. Creak, 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 as the wooden oars pivot against the heavy pins. This sound is not sharp or jarring. It is muted by the distance and softened by the night air. It is a slow, methodical pendulum, pulling the ship through the water. Each creak is an assurance, a promise of onward movement and safety. Beneath the oarlocks, you can hear the thrum of the water. The long, smooth keel of the ship is cleaving the dark water, not crashing through it. It's a low, resonant hush sound, like silk being drawn slowly across stone. It is the sound of the sea yielding to the ship, the continuous, gentle washing along the sides of the hull. Within the hull, where the bilge water settles, you can hear the soft, internal lap and slosh. It's a tiny liquid rhythm, a gentle internal tide that rocks and soothes, reminding you that you are wholly surrounded by water, yet perfectly protected. And finally, the sound of the crew's breathing. 20 men rowing together, exhale on the downbeat, a synchronized whoosh of air that mingles with the wind. They are not talking, only breathing, and their rhythm is now your own. Inhale deeply, and exhale slowly, following the pace of the ship. This is the true harmony of the Viking longship. Wood, water, and breath moving as one. The men are covered in the rough, familiar wool of their tunics and cloaks. The air smells of salt and distant pine resin, mixed with the warm, earthy smell of the men themselves. They are tired, but their work is a meditation, a physical prayer to the sea. You are lying on a thick layer of soft rope and perhaps a folded blanket, feeling the subtle, slow roll of the hull. It is a gentle side-to-side sway, a motion that reminds the body of the rocking of a hammock or a cradle. As the ship rides over the slow, sleeping swells of the open sea, your mind lets go, following the steady, comforting motion. Look up at the night sky. In the open sea, far from any settlement, the stars are impossibly bright. You can see the great swirl of the northern lights beginning to paint the heavens, soft ribbons of faint green and blue, swaying gently like ethereal curtains hung by the gods. They are silent, slow, and breathtakingly distant, demanding nothing of you but observation. The Longship is a metaphor for a peaceful life, designed for function, built with respect for nature, and moved forward by harmonious effort. There is no urgency in this moment. The destination is simply a point on the horizon, but the true experience is the journey itself, this moment of profound, suspended rest in motion. Let the rhythmic creak of the oarlocks pull you deeper into relaxation. Creak, creak, creak. Allow the gentle hush of the water to smooth away any lingering thoughts or worries. Feel the slow, consistent roll and sway of the ship until you forget where the boat ends and you begin. You are perfectly balanced between the vast sky and the deep sea. You are being carried gently, steadily, across a world that is large and beautiful, but now completely quiet. The rhythm of the Longship is now the rhythm of your own heart, slow and constant. There is nothing to do, nowhere else to be. Just the creak of the wood, the hush of the water, and the gentle collective breath. Let the great dark ocean carry you now into a deep and healing sleep. Drift, drift, drift. On the rhythm of the waves, Lindisfarne dawn, the first tide of change. We sail now to a small, holy island, a place named Lindisfarne, on the eastern coast of England, a place of deep devotion and quiet sanctuary. Our story takes place in the year 793 AD, but we are interested in the atmosphere of that day, the shift from profound peace to sudden awareness, a moment that signaled a great turning in the history of the North. Imagine the island on that morning. It is known as Holy Island because the gentle tide allows a causeway of sand to appear, linking it briefly to the mainland, only to disappear again beneath the waves. This separation gives the island its solitude, its quiet, protective embrace. The island is home to a monastery, a cluster of stone and timber buildings centered around a small church. It is a place dedicated to simple worship, illuminated manuscripts, and silent study. The monks here live a life governed by prayer and the slow, consistent cycle of the seasons. Their world is one of soft light, cool stone, and the rustle of vellum. Before the sun fully rose on that fateful day, the monastery was stirring with its pre-dawn rituals. The air was cool and intensely still, carrying the scent of low tide and salt-laced grass. Inside the stone walls, the only sound was the soft, shuffling rhythm of sandals on the cold floor and the low, sustained drone of Gregorian chant, a sound of deep, unwavering calm. Now, imagine the sight from the vantage point of the island's highest point, a rocky outcrop overlooking the North Sea. The ocean lies before you, a vast, seamless sheet of heavy, gray-blue water stretching toward the horizon. The horizon itself is hazy, shrouded in the morning mist that often clings stubbornly to this cold coast. The world is veiled, quiet, and ordinary. But deep within the mist, something is moving. Very low in the water, appearing first as nothing more than dark, elongated shadows, are the sleek, beautiful shapes of the longships. They emerge silently, propelled by the last whisper of a following wind and the smooth, synchronized stroke of unseen oars. The men aboard these ships, the Norsemen, are themselves tired from the long passage. Their journey has been characterized by the rhythmic creak and hush we heard earlier. Now, in the final quiet approach, they are silent, focused, and intent. As the ships glide into the shallow water, the atmosphere on the island changes, not with a crash, but with a subtle, chilling shift in the air. The monks, accustomed to the silence of nature, suddenly become aware of an unnatural silence, The cessation of the gull's cries, perhaps, or the abrupt halt of a sea breeze. Focus on the sound of the longships meeting the sand. It is not a loud impact. It is a soft, deep grinding noise. Wood against stone, a sound that, in that moment, became the most terrifying sound in all of Europe. This is the moment history turns, the first tide of change. We do not linger on the chaos that followed, for this is a story for sleep. Instead, we allow the sound to fade, leaving only the profound, resonant echo of its significance. Picture the island many days later, after the Northmen have taken what they sought and sailed away, disappearing back into the open, indifferent sea. The island returns to an immense, haunting quiet. The silence is now different. It is a silence of absence, heavy and deep. The air is cold again, carrying the faint, distant smell of ash and burned timber mixed with the familiar salt and tide. The surviving monks move slowly, their heads bowed, beginning the long, quiet process of putting the stones back in place. They work in a profound hush, their hands touching the cold stones that form their world. The sea continues its endless rhythmic work, washing over the tidal causeway, linking and separating the island in its ancient, unchanging cycle. The true impact of Lindisfarne was not the momentary clash, but the quiet revelation it brought. The world had suddenly grown much smaller, much more connected. The vast unknown north had reached out a hand. The age of isolation was over, replaced by an age of unexpected meetings. As you lie here, resting in the quiet aftermath of this great historical moment, let the immense silence of the island settle over you. Feel the vastness of the sea and the sky, the slow, patient work of the water washing against the shore. The events of the day are done. The sun has set on the old world, and the stars, those same silent stars the monks prayed beneath, are beginning to appear. There is a sense of deep, final closure on this moment. The tide of change has receded, leaving behind a new, quieter reality. You are safe in the long echo of history, drifting into a rest that is deep, heavy, and profound. Let the cool, salty air and the enduring stillness of the holy island lull you now, all the way to sleep. Sleep, the quiet glow of the hearth. Longhouse. Lullaby, allow your mind to drift away from the present, carried back in time to a deep, cold night in the heart of Scandinavia, inside the great, earthen-roofed longhouse of a chieftain named Hrolf. This is a place built for survival, warmth, and the simple comfort of community. We step through the heavy wooden door, which is now bolted fast against the endless, vast cold outside. Inside, the longhouse is dark, save for the single vital source of light and heat, the hearth. The hearth is a long central trench lined with stones, and tonight it is filled with deep, glowing embers. They are covered lightly with ash, a technique used to keep the heat trapped and the fire alive until the first light of dawn. The color radiating from the embers is a deep, comforting orange, almost red, pulsing softly like a sleeping heart. The air is thick with the warm, rich scent of seasoned oak smoke. It is a dry, heavy fragrance that settles on the woolen blankets and the timber walls. Above the hearth, the smoke drifts lazily toward the single vent in the roof ridge. Watch the smoke for a moment. It spirals and curls in the warm updraft, slow and deliberate, a pale gray veil against the blackness of the high rafters. Around the hearth, the family sleeps on wide, low wooden benches padded with straw and covered in thick, heavy hides, wolf, sheep, and bear pelts, all layered for impenetrable warmth. Everyone is tucked in, lying side by side, finding warmth not just from the fire, but from the presence of one another. Listen closely for the 6 sounds of rest inside Hrolf's longhouse. These are the sounds that have comforted generations. The embers sigh. The most rhythmic sound is the intermittent soft pop and hiss of the banked embers. This is the sound of the wood completing its transformation, a gentle, tiny exhalation of heat, followed by a profound, deep silence. Pop, hiss, silence. The timbers groan. The vast curved ceiling beams built from massive logs occasionally shift or groan with the contraction of the wood in the cold night air. It is a slow, low, heavy sound, like the voice of the house itself settling down. It is reassuring, proving that the structure is solid, strong, and enduring. The dog's dream. In the footspace beneath the sleeping benches, the family dogs and perhaps a few cattle are nestled, their body heat contributing to the room's warmth. Listen for the soft, rapid thump-thump of a dog's tail, dreaming of a chase, or the deep, gentle snuff of a cow settling its bulk. The weaving thread. Old Thora, Hrolf's mother, sleeps nearest the fire. Though her body rests, her fingers, trained by decades of work, occasionally twitch and pick, at the coarse, heavy wool blanket, a tiny, almost subliminal sound of muscle memory, a reminder of the quiet industry that sustains them. The turfs muffle. Outside the thick walls, the wind may be howling across the fjord, but the thick, insulating layer of turf and moss on the roof muffles the sound entirely. It becomes a distant, low whoosh, a soft, pervasive drone that only serves to highlight the warmth and safety within. The collective breath. The most important sound is the slow, synchronized breathing of the longhouse inhabitants. Inhale, exhale, deep, steady, unhurried. Let your own breathing fall into this collective, comforting rhythm, matching the pace of the house, the fire, and the slumbering family. The light of the hearth is the only constant. It washes the faces of the sleeping figures in a soft, orange glow, turning their closed eyes and still features into silhouettes of perfect peace. As the fire sinks lower and the glow dims, the shadows grow long and heavy, stretching up to the rafters, swaying slowly in the column of smoke. This is the end of the day's toil, the deep winter rest. All journeys, whether by longship or plow, pause here. All thoughts, whether of raiding or harvest, are silenced. There is only the presence of the fire, the feeling of the heavy, scratchy wool, and the knowledge of shelter. Feel the profound stability of the earth floor beneath you, the solid, unmoving strength of the timber walls. You are rooted in this moment, held by the ancient, simple design of the Viking hearth. Let the low, deep groan of the timber settle your weight. Let the soft hiss of the embers quiet your mind. Sink now into the heavy darkness and the enduring warmth, carried by the deepest, safest rhythm of the longhouse. You are home. You are warm. You are at rest, sleep. The long road to hell. A quiet sailing, we leave the smoky hearth and the sleeping world behind, allowing our consciousness to drift into the ancient, expansive realm of Norse myth, a realm where a final journey begins not with fear, but with a deep and inevitable quiet. Our focus is on the soul of a wise woman, Gudrun, whose long life on the fjords has finally reached its gentle end. She lies now in the quiet darkness of the burial mound, wrapped in her finest woolen shroud, prepared not for battle, but for rest. Her journey is not to the great hall of Valhalla, but to a quieter place, a realm of profound stillness known as hell. Imagine the transition not as a sudden shock, but as a slow, almost imperceptible waking. Gudrun's spirit rises with the cold, patient energy of the earth itself, finding itself standing not in the burial mound, but on the shore of a vast, silent ocean. The sky above is not bright. It is permanently veiled in a thick, silver-gray twilight, the color of dawn that never breaks. No sun, no moon, only the eternal, soft illumination of this twilight. Before her lies the ship. Not a longship of war, but a simple, sturdy vessel, a ferry awaiting its passenger. It is named Gjallarhorn, or the loud-sounding horn, but on this silent journey, it makes no noise at all. Gudrun steps onto the deck. The wood beneath her feet is cool and smooth. There is no one to pilot the vessel, yet it begins to glide away from the shore, effortlessly, silently. This is the fifth and final subtitle, The Journey Itself. The long road to hell. A quiet sailing. The ship sails into the mist. Listen to the sounds of this mythical crossing, the lap of the water. The most constant sound is the water against the hull, It is a slow, rhythmic shush, 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 the softest lap, a sound that has followed all who live and die by the sea. It is the steady, unhurried metronome of the final voyage. The mists whisper. The silver mist clings to the water, thick and cool. It carries no recognizable scent of salt or pine, only the cool, clean scent of deep emptiness. Sometimes it swirls, and you can almost hear a faint, high whisper as the air currents shift, perhaps the breath of the giants or the words of the Norns, weaving the thread of fate. The silent oar. Imagine the motion of the ship. No sound of the sail snapping, no creak of the mast. The journey is one of gliding, of stillness. If you were to trail your hand over the side, you would feel only the smooth, cold resistance of the black water. As the ship moves onward, Gudrun passes beneath the branches of the world tree, Yggdrasil. Though she cannot see the cosmic branches that hold the 9 realms, she feels the profound, stabilizing presence of its roots beneath the water. The roots themselves murmur with the ancient, deep knowledge of the cosmos, a slow, deep vibration felt more than heard. This vibration is stability, an anchor in the vastness. The destination begins to reveal itself, not as a grim fortress, but as a land of low hills and endless shadow. This is the realm of Hel, ruled by the goddess of the same name. It is a place reserved for those who died of illness or old age, a place of gentle, permanent rest, untouched by the noise of battle. The ship touches the shore with a slight, muffled thud. Gudrun steps ashore onto the quiet land. The finality here is not a terror, but a soothing certainty. There is no more rushing, no more pain, no more cold that pierces the bone. The air here is simply cool and utterly still. The stillness is absolute. She walks toward a great shadowed hall, not a feasting hall, but a place of gathering, of quiet companionship. The other residents of Hel are not sorrowful. They are simply present, resting fully and deeply. They sit by quiet, smokeless fires, engaged in soft, slow conversation, weaving the quiet tapestries of their long lives. Gudrun finds a spot to settle, lying upon a soft, cool bed of moss and shadow. The journey is over. The long voyage is done. The destination is rest. Feel the peace of this endless twilight, the security of this final quiet harbor. You are safe from the wind and the storm. You are beyond the reach of the waking world. Let the gentle lap of the mythological water and the deep, abiding stillness of the realm of Hel settle over you, guiding you to a rest that is absolute and profoundly deep. Sleep. The rhythm of the adze, crafting the drakkar. We shift our focus from the warm interior of the longhouse and the cold sea journey to a different, equally vital place of the Viking world, the boatyard, where the very heart of their power, the Longship, is born. The time is late afternoon on a fjord shore. The great empty shell of a new drakkar rests on wooden stalks, its skeleton pointing toward the water. All the bustling activity of the day is slowing down. The main work is finished, and only a single shipwright, an old patient craftsman named Knut, remains, performing the finishing work. This is the 6th subtitle, The Perfect Rhythm for Sleep, the rhythm of the adze, crafting the drakkar. Knut is shaping the massive, curved keel piece at the prow, where the wood must flow with the most elegant and necessary curve to cleave the waves. He does not use a saw, but a tool that speaks only to the wood's natural grain, the adze. The adze is a curved cutting tool, swung downward to peel thin curls of wood from the surface. Listen to the sound it makes, the thwook and the hush. Knut swings the adze. It is not a violent chop, but a disciplined, rhythmic strike. Thwook. The sound is solid, heavy, and deeply satisfying, followed by the soft, whispered hush of the wooden curl falling to the sawdust below. Thwook, hush. Thwook, hush. The rhythm is deliberate, steady, and entirely predictable. The whisper of the grain. Close your eyes and imagine the wood itself. It is green oak, recently felled, still holding the damp, clean scent of the forest. As the adze shaves the surface, you hear the subtle sizzle or rip. the sound of the knife edge passing exactly along the line of the grain, not across it. This is the sound of perfect union between tool, craftsman, and material. The light of the day is fading, turning the fjord water a deep, muted gray. The large, unfinished strakes, the long planks that form the overlapping hull, are riveted together in the style known as clinker-built. Now, Knut moves from the keel to the lower strakes, where the planks overlap. He is sealing the seams with a mixture of animal hair, moss, and pine tar. The soft smear of the tar. The sound of this work is entirely soft. A heavy, coarse brush pulls the thick, resinous tar from a small wooden bucket and then spreads it onto the moss packing in the seam. Shalump. Shalump. It is a sticky, dull, muffled sound, the sound of making the world safe and watertight for the journeys to come. The scent of hot pine tar is deep and medicinal, a calming, pungent smell that promises durability. The sound of the quiet water. Just below the boatyard, the tide is gently coming in, covering the smooth, black stones of the beach. The water is entirely calm now, resting at the end of the day. The gentle sigh of the fjord water meeting the land is a continuous, low undertone to Knut's work, a natural rhythm of the great sea, waiting patiently to receive the craft. As darkness settles, Knut lights a small tallow lamp, the light casting long, exaggerated shadows across the long, curving body of the ship. The work does not stop, but slows even further, becoming more meditative. The click and tap of the rivets. The clinker hull is held together by thousands of iron rivets, each one hammered flat over a small square washer called a rove. Knut checks the rivets nearest him, making sure they are tight. He uses a small crosspeen hammer. It is not a loud noise, but a light, focused tap on the iron, followed by a slight metallic click of the iron settling into place. Tap, click, tap, click. This work is painstaking, repetitive, and deeply relaxing. Each tap is a promise of strength. The great oak timbers, painstakingly split from the logs to follow the grain, breathe in the cool air. The whole ship, though not yet launched, feels like a living thing, ready to wake. Let the rhythmic thwack, hush of the adze smooth away the rough edges of your thoughts. Let the low, steady sigh of the fjord water rock your consciousness gently toward sleep. The immense work of creating this vessel, from the forest floor to the sea's edge, is an act of deep faith and quiet, patient labor. You are immersed in the sound of simple tools meeting magnificent wood, forging strength through repetition. Feel the calm in the air, the peace in the craft, and the quiet dignity of the completed work. The tools are resting, the craftsman is finishing. The ship is waiting. You are safe in the sound of its creation. Drift now into the deep, quiet rhythm of the shipwright's rest. Sleep. The longhouse hushes. Winter's slow arrival. We move our consciousness inland, away from the fjord, to a secluded valley farmstead nestled against the great sheltering mountains of Scandinavia. The air is still and cold, carrying the sharp, clean scent of the first frost. The sun has long since set, and a deep velvet darkness covers the world outside. Inside the longhouse, the family, the farmer, Eric, his wife, Astrid, and their children, have completed the final necessary chores of the season. They are not battling the cold, but entering into a quiet, negotiated peace with it. This peaceful transition, the final sealing of the farm against the deep winter, is our focus. This is the seventh and final subtitle, The Atmosphere of Deep Security. The longhouse hushes. Winter's slow arrival. The longhouse itself is a model of insulated comfort. Its walls are thick with peat and stone, and its roof is layered with turf, which acts as a vast natural blanket. Tonight, the house is a cavern of warmth and deep quiet. The hearth's low murmur. The single central hearth is the life of the longhouse. It is no longer roaring, but has been banked carefully for the night. The sound of the banked fire is a low, continuous chuffle and crackle, a slow, muffled sound of hot embers sighing under a layer of ash. This sound is a promise. The heat is held safe, ready to be resurrected in the morning. It is the steady heartbeat of the house, the scent of smoke and wool. Breathe in the air of the longhouse. It is rich, warm, and comforting. The predominant scent is that of wood smoke, old leather, and the earthy, clean smell of damp wool and packed turf. This mix of scents is ancient and deeply grounding, signifying shelter and safety. Eric is performing the last chore of the evening, moving from the sleeping platforms to the door. He is not preparing to leave, but to secure the house from the outside world. The thump of the bar. The heavy oak door is swung shut. It makes a dull, heavy thud, a final seal. Eric lifts a thick wooden crossbar and drops it into the heavy stone slots on either side of the frame. The bar settles with a low, satisfying thump and a muffled, final scrape of wood against stone. This is the sound of absolute security, a definitive end to the day's worries. Nothing can enter, and nothing is demanded from within. The family is nestled onto the low, communal sleeping platforms that line the walls, covered in thick furs and woven blankets. The air above the platforms is smoky and warm, the air below, cool and fresh. The rustle of the furs. As Astrid and the children settle, the only sound they make is the soft, dry hush, hush, hush of the animal furs shifting. The weight of the furs is comforting, a heavy, grounded pressure that holds the body in place. This rhythmic rustle of the thick pelts is the sound of sinking deeply into rest. The animals' quiet breathing. At the far end of the longhouse, separated by a low partition, the precious livestock are also housed. A few sheep, perhaps a goat or a cow. The sound from their enclosure is a mix of soft, deep breathing and the occasional slow, rhythmic chewing. This quiet, sustained sound of life right beside you is immensely reassuring. It is the sound of mutual survival, a shared peace in the warm dark. Outside, the silence is profound. Any sound, the softest drift of falling snow, the faint, far-off hoot of an owl, is instantly swallowed by the heavy air and the thick walls. The longhouse has sealed itself off entirely from the deep Nordic night. There is no more work to be done. The harvest is gathered, the repairs are finished, the fire is banked, and the door is barred. The Viking world, so often characterized by speed and sound, now enters its long, slow, annual rest. You are safe within this quiet, warm place. Feel the peace of the thick turf roof above you, the stability of the strong oak beams, and the rhythmic, low murmur of the banked fire. Let the deep, earthy comfort of the longhouse settle over your own mind. There is no need to move, no need to think, no need to worry. Drift into the profound stillness that comes when all the world outside is frozen, and all that matters is the warm, beating heart of the home. You are secure, sealed off, and deeply, entirely at rest. Sleep now, and let the longhouse hold you until the slow dawn returns. Mid-passage, Majesty. The North Star's watch. We have left the shore and the boatyard behind, finding ourselves now far out on the open sea, aboard a Viking longship named Hrafna, the Raven. The journey is one of peaceful exploration, and the night is one of extraordinary silent wonder. The sea is calm, its surface like oiled glass reflecting the cold, clear majesty of the winter sky. There is no storm, only the gentle rhythmic motion of the great ship moving steadily toward an unseen, distant land. The crew is mostly asleep, tucked into their woolen bags beneath furs and blankets, resting between the rowing benches. Only the watchman, a seasoned sailor named Leif, is awake, guiding the ship. This quiet, hypnotic passage is our focus. This is the 8th subtitle, The Atmosphere of Silent Navigation. Mid-passage. Majesty, the North Star's watch. Leif stands by the steering oar, facing the open water. His senses are attuned to the ship and the sea, his mind calm and focused. Listen to the unique sounds of a longship sailing on a truly quiet night, the hull's gentle creak. The most constant sound is the voice of the ship itself. The clinker-built planks, expertly riveted together, stretch and flex with the slight rise and fall of the waves. It is a slow, soft creak and a muffled groan of wood against wood, a steady, rhythmic sigh that tells Leif the ship is healthy and strong. Creak! Grow on! Creak. This deep, wooden lullaby is the sound of the vessel breathing. The whispered water flow. The Longship's shallow hull is designed to glide. The water does not crash against the bow. It flows quietly past the sleek sides. You can hear the water itself, a continuous low-frequency hiss or whisper as it parts around the bow and slips beneath the keel. It is the sound of effortless motion, of the sea giving way. Above, the sky is a vast velvet dome scattered with millions of brilliant cold stars. Leif looks up, seeking the fixed point that guides his entire world, the North Star, or Lightarstjarna, the silent guidance. The star is a tiny, steady beacon in the endless sky. Leif ensures the ship's prow is aligned perfectly with his chosen direction, relying not on a compass, but on the enduring geometry of the cosmos. The knowledge that he is following a fixed point, a quiet certainty in the vastness, is deeply grounding. Feel the immense stillness of the universe above you, the stability of the earth beneath the ship, and the peace of being precisely where you are meant to be. As the ship holds its course, a new spectacle begins to unfold. The dance of the aurora. High above, the northern lights begin their silent, ethereal dance. Great curtains of green, pale pink, and white light shimmer across the heavens. They are known as the Bifrost of the gods, or simply the dancing spirits. The light is dynamic, flowing like an endless, silent river, yet it makes no sound at all. Its majesty is entirely visual, a profound, quiet spectacle. Watch the colors gently wave and swirl, washing the dark, oily sea with soft, fleeting streaks of green light. Leif finds a comfortable spot on the rowing bench, wrapped in his heavy cloak, and rests his head against a coil of rope. He is still on watch, yet his body is at ease. He is rocked by the gentle, persistent motion of the ship, the soft pitch and yaw, a slow, predictable movement that is the most perfect cradle. The only other audible sound is the occasional, soft flapping of the great woolen sail, lowered for the night but still catching faint puffs of wind. The thick wool is heavy and dense, making the sound a soft, dry thwop rather than a snap. Thwop, thwop, a lazy, contented sound. All tension drains from the body of the watchman, and from yours. The journey is long, but there is no urgency. The stars are fixed. The ship is strong. The water is gentle. You are suspended in a perfect moment of balance between the cold, silent immensity of the cosmos above and the warm, creaking security of the wooden boat below. Let the rhythmic creaking of the hull become your own internal rhythm. Let the silent, flowing light of the aurora carry away all remaining light from your mind. You are drifting, entirely safe, guided by the most ancient and certain lights. There is only the sea, the ship, and the slow, deep peace of the long journey. Sleep suspended in the mid-passage majesty, under the watch of the North Star. The Völva's sanctuary. The quiet art of healing. We turn our attention away from the grand voyages and the communal warmth of the longhouse, moving instead to a small, secluded dwelling on the edge of the settlement. This turf-roofed hut belongs to the Völva, the seeress and healer, known simply as Freya. It is a place dedicated entirely to quietude, nature, and the gentle art of repair. The sun has set, and the hut is illuminated only by a single steady tallow lamp and the soft glow of a small furnace. The air is still, thick with rich, comforting natural scents. Tonight, we immerse ourselves in the meticulous and calming work of preparing a healing balm. This quiet, focused preparation is the 9th subtitle, The Völva's Sanctuary, The Quiet Art of Healing. Freya is seated on a low wooden stool by her work table. Her movements are slow, deliberate, and free of haste. The grind of the pestle. Freya is crushing dried herbs, a mixture of calming chamomile, wild mint, and potent willow bark. She uses a heavy stone pestle and mortar, The sound is not harsh, but a rhythmic, gravelly grind of stone against stone, punctuated by the soft, dusty swish of the dry leaves being broken down. Grind, grind, wish. Grind, grind! This repetitive, focused action generates the deep, soothing sound of patience and preparation. The release of scent. As the herbs are crushed, their essence is released into the warm air. Breathe in the scent now. The sweet, apple-like calm of chamomile, the sharp, refreshing coolness of mint, and the woody, earthen musk of the bark. These natural, potent aromas are instantly relaxing, clearing the mind and calming the breath. Freya moves to the small clay furnace where a small, shallow iron pot rests over a bed of low, glowing coals. In the pot is a mixture of rendered tallow and beeswax, slowly melting together. The sigh of the melting wax. The fat and wax are reaching the perfect state for infusion. The sound is minimal, a low, subtle sigh or soft bubbling from the edges of the pot. It is the quietest cooking sound imaginable, the sound of ingredients transforming gently. The beeswax adds a sweet, clean, golden scent to the air, mixing with the herbal fragrance. The stirring of the infusion. Freya removes the pot and gently pours the crushed herbal powder into the hot, liquid fat. She uses a smooth, wooden stirrer, tracing slow, steady circles in the mixture. The sound is a dull, oily slosh and a soft scrape of the wooden paddle against the iron pot. Slosh, scrape. Slosh, scrape. This slow, circular motion is mesmerizing, a visual and auditory rhythm of integration. The balm is being born. Freya now turns to her walls, where hundreds of bundles of dried plants hang from the rafters. Each bundle is tied neatly with linen twine, silent repositories of the forest's wisdom, the dry whisper of the leaves. She selects a few leaves of meadowsweet, a herb used for quiet rest. As her fingers brush the hanging bundles, the dry leaves make a soft, papery whisper and a delicate crackle. This sound is fragile, like turning the pages of an ancient, brittle book. It is the sound of time passing, of summer's warmth stored for winter's need. The oil has cooled slightly, thickening into a rich, green-tinged salve. Freya begins to portion the balm into small earthenware pots. The plop of the salve. She uses a small wooden scoop to lift the warm, heavy salve and drop it into the pots. The viscous material makes a soft, thick plop as it settles into the waiting container. Plop, thud, plop, thud. Each sound is heavy and final, marking the conclusion of the patient work. Freya finally sets the full pots aside on a stone slab to cool and harden completely. She washes her hands in a bowl of cold rainwater collected outside. The sound of the cool water pouring from a jug and the soft, slishing sound of her hands being cleaned completes the cycle of the work. The hut is now still. The lamp casts a gentle amber glow. The scents are calming, deep, and medicinal. The air is full of healing quiet. All is prepared, purified, and at rest. You are safe here in the Velva's sanctuary, surrounded by the knowledge of the earth and the slow, deliberate work of healing. Let the rhythmic sounds of grinding and stirring soothe your thoughts into stillness. Let the gentle, natural scents permeate your awareness, cleansing and calming your mind. The energy of care, of slow, focused intention, is all around you. Accept this profound, peaceful silence. There is no need for force, only for patience and rhythm. Drift now into the deep, healing quiet of Freya's hut. Sleep, and let the gentle herbs work their ancient magic. The Skald's rafters, the silence of deep learning. We arrive at the final place of peace in the Viking world, a high, dry room in the largest longhouse of a peaceful settlement. This space, reserved for contemplation and learning, belongs to the Skald, the keeper of the sagas, the laws, and the hidden knowledge of the stars. It is a loft, nestled under the strong turf-covered rafters, a place of quiet scholarship. The rest of the household is asleep below, their presence only a faint, comforting hum beneath the heavy wooden floorboards. Here, there is only stillness, the low light of a horn lantern, and the great silence of deep thought. Tonight we rest in this calm concentration. This is the 10th subtitle, The Atmosphere of Silent Knowledge. The Skald's Rafters. The silence of deep learning. The skald, an elder named Hrolf, is not writing poetry, but performing a more essential meditative task, inspecting and smoothing the runes carved into a heavy piece of smoothed bone. This bone is a record of star movements, a tool for navigation and prophecy. The sigh of the sandstone. Hrolf is polishing the bone's surface using a very fine piece of wet sandstone. The sound is a barely audible sigh, a smooth, damp shh of stone against bone. This repetitive, gentle friction is the sound of care and dedication. It is the sound of ensuring knowledge remains clear and true. The smell of clean materials. The air in the loft is entirely different from the smoky longhouse below. It smells of dried parchment, prepared leather, clean wood, and cold, fresh rainwater. It is an aesthetic, clean scent that aids concentration. Breathe in this cool, fresh scent of deep learning. Hrolf now traces the lines of the carved runes with his fingertip. The angular shapes represent not just letters, but the fixed forces of the cosmos. He is not reading words, but feeling patterns. The tap of the fingertip. As he moves from one rune to the next, his fingertip sometimes makes the softest possible tap or scrape on the polished bone. Tap! Scrape! Pause, tap. This is the sound of contemplation, of a mind moving slowly and with profound precision across a known universe. It is a rhythmic guide for the stillness of your own mind. Hrolf lifts his gaze to a small wooden shutter that opens to the night sky. The air that drifts in is cold and sharp. The silence of the stars. Outside, the sky is deep, cold, and utterly silent. There is no sound of waves, no wind, no animals. The silence of the universe pours in through the open shutter, vast and encompassing. The stars, the great gods' patterns, watch on in perfect stillness. This silence is not empty, but full of potential and fixed law, a silence of absolute certainty. Hrolf picks up his final tool, a small, smooth piece of dark, polished basalt. He uses it as a kind of compass, aligning its shadow to a beam of moonlight to confirm the position of the hjarta, the heart, star cluster. The click of the stone. He rests the basalt stone gently on the wooden desk, repositioning it with the lightest nudge. It makes a soft, low click on the dry wood. Click! Adjust! Click! This is the final practical action of the scholar, confirming the abstract through the physical. It is the sound of wisdom checked and verified. The work is complete. Hrolf has honored the knowledge and now lays his tools down. The sandstone, the bone record, and the basalt rest side by side. The deep stillness of the loft returns, broken only by your own calm, even breathing. Below, the family's presence is only a deep, muffled hum, the sound of shared human life continuing without your active participation. You are protected by the strong rafters, surrounded by silent knowledge and immersed in the deep, unhurried peace of contemplation. Let the gentle sigh of the stone and the tap of the guiding finger soothe your mind into stillness. Let the clean, cold silence of the stars fill the empty spaces between your thoughts. You are in a safe place of deep learning and quiet reflection. There is nothing to remember, only to rest in the knowledge that all things, the stars, the runes, the great world, have their fixed, predictable patterns. Drift into the profound, perfect silence of the skald's rafters. Sleep.